Hi everybody. Thought I'd make a little video about getting the plates renewed on my vehicle yesterday and a little bit about who enforces traffic laws in the province I'm in. Now, it might not be the same everywhere in the Philippines, so I'm just going by my experience here where I'm at. Because I live in the province, I don't live in the city. So my vehicle is a 2018 Nissan Navara. Bought it used when I bought here. This is the second time I've had to renew my plates. And the sad part about it, we bought it like in January of the year we bought it. So I assumed that the plates was good for a year. And what I didn't realize is no, that's not true. So I guess the plates expire a year on the date they were actually put on the vehicle or registered for the vehicle. Now the plates here go with the vehicle. When we bought the vehicle, the truck's plates were on the truck. So I guess the actual renewal date is in August. So Ann had told me a while back, said, you need to renew your plates. And I said, no, we didn't get it till January. So she said, mentioned it a couple of more times. I said, no, it shouldn't be due till January. Or about 3 days ago, I looked at the registration and she was right. It was due in August, so the plates were expired. So went to IPIL to get the plates renewed at the LTO, Land Transportation Office. Here, that's what they call it, and they take care of registrations, driver's license, all that stuff. So first got there, I went up to the window, and they sent me in the room, handed the paperwork to the guy, and he said, have you had your smoke test yet? And I said, no, I have not. So he said, well, take it down to First IPIL, get your smoke test, come back. So that's what we did. So what we did, I'll got a little video here I'll show of it. So we got to First IPIL, which is where they do the smog test. They call it a smoke test. And we pulled it in and they said, bring it around back, park it here, go upstairs, and when we're ready, we'll call you. So they took it in, and this is from my dash cam. What you're seeing here looks like the test they did there, the smog test they passed. And something I didn't know is what they do here. They pull it up and stop, and what they'll do, Sheen will, I believe, is coming out and checking the headlights. I think they do a safety inspection as well. So you see they pull forward here, and just a second you'll see a machine come out, and it looks like what they're doing is checking the headlight alignment or something, because you see, looks like the lights are on, and it's possibly measuring the aim of the headlights or brightness or something. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with this machine. I'm a mechanic, but this is one I'm not familiar with. And you see it slides over to the right and in front of the other headlight. So I think that's what they're doing, is safety inspection. Make sure your headlights are aligned, not blinding people, something like that maybe. And when it's all done, the machine moves back out of the way, and they pulled it out, parked it, and then brought the keys up. So what they charged me for that was 672 pesos, which is about $11.58. So then we left there, went back to the Land Transportation Office, or LTO, and took everything in to the guy, and he said, go have a seat, I'll call you when it's ready. And he said, do you have insurance? And I said, well, last time I bought insurance through the LTO. He said, okay, we'll sell you the insurance too. He said, it's going to cost you $1,850. I said, okay. Which before, when we bought the truck, I bought an expensive insurance policy with full coverage and everything, but when I renewed, they said, oh, this insurance is ready to expire, we just sell you insurance. So you can buy your minimum insurance at the LTO is when you register your vehicle. So that's the way I went. So the actual charges were $3,850 to renew the plates, which there was about 1,000 pesos, little over that, for late because they had been expired for a couple of months. 1,850 for the insurance, because he said, well, we'll write you a policy set here, and when we're done with that, we'll bring your policy out to you and you're good to go. So that's what they did. So the registration cost me about $66.38, and the insurance cost me $31.89 roughly US for the year. So next year I'll remember to renew in time and save about 1,000 pesos probably. So the total cost of everything was 6,372 pesos, which is about $109.80 US. So that's a lot cheaper than what I do in the US when I re-register there, because I have two vehicles in the US that I have to be registered on my birthday there. So that's the process to go through to renew your plates here in Zamboanga del Norte. Now, as far as who controls or who enforces traffic laws, that's kind of sketchy to me, because the only thing that I've seen here, the only time I ever got a ticket was from the LTO. They set up LTO checkpoints, and they'll check your license, registration, all that. And I've only had to go do that one time, and because Ann wasn't wearing a seat belt, they gave me a ticket for that, and I didn't have my plastic license yet, so they gave me a ticket for not having that on me. I left it at the house. But that's another video. You can watch all that. So I have made mistakes in front of police officers here before. Like one time I parked in a spot you shouldn't be parking in. They just drove right by me. And another time I was coming out of an area, and it was a incline up, coming up onto a highway. And when I came out, I goosed it a little bit and spun the tires. Now in the US, I've gotten tickets for reckless driving for that. My very first ticket when I was 17 years old, 16 years old actually. On Halloween night, I burned tires in the alleyway and happened to be a police, and I got a reckless driving ticket. I did that in front of that police officer here in the Philippines, and he didn't even look at me twice. He just kept on going. And Ann always tells me, if it's not the LTO, don't worry about it. The LTO is the only one here that'll give you a ticket. And I've never seen anybody pulled over by the police getting a ticket from the LTO. They, if you have an accident or something like that, they'll show up. But I've never seen them pull anybody over and give a ticket or anything like that. The only time I've seen tickets given out is LTO checkpoint. Now, coming home yesterday, we did come up to a checkpoint that was manned. And I got a little bit of that from my dash cam I'll show you here. Now, this checkpoint here is at the boundary of Zamboanga, Sibugay, and Zamboanga del Norte. We were leaving Ipil headed toward home in Zamboanga del Norte, and that checkpoint is always there, but few times it's been open, and this happened to be the time they were open. So what I do, I usually pull up, you roll your window down and say, hello, sir, and he just waves me on. They've never stopped me and checked me. They just, hello, sir, and go on. So that was one of the few times I've seen that open that I've had to go through it. And the funny part is, you get up here and you'll see these motorcycles, and they see that is open, and they'll turn around and go the other way. They did not want to go through that checkpoint. You can tell they take off and go a different direction, go around, so they don't have to go to that checkpoint. And a lot of times you'll come up to these checkpoints and you'll see a line of vehicles or motorcycles sitting alongside the road waiting for that checkpoint to close. So that's how that works here. Now I know, according to the Google, I looked it up, who's responsible for traffic enforcement in the Philippines, and the Philippine National Police does have what they call a HPG, or Highway Patrol Group, and they enforce traffic laws, and of course the police will show up in accidents and stuff like that. But here, it's mostly the LTO that hands out tickets. And there's some local municipalities have their own local traffic enforcement. We don't have that here that I know of. So Ann always says, if it's not the LTO, don't worry about it. They're not going to give you a ticket for seatbelt or anything like that. Because I've been through the checkpoint here in town, because they do have one, and there's always people there, but usually they're not actually stopping vehicles. And I went through that a couple of times when they were checking vehicles, and you just roll your window down, and Ann didn't have her seatbelt on. They didn't say anything, just go on, sir. So that's pretty much how that works. The one here in town, actually they set that up before the election. They Comelec, they call the checkpoint, and what they're doing is looking for weapons. And you could easily get a weapon through there, just stick it on your seat, because they've never stopped and looked in the vehicle. They just, hello sir, go on. So not very effective in my point of view, but you know, I'm just a foreigner here. So just wanted to give a little bit of talk about that, how that works, and let you know how it works in the province where I am. I don't know if all provinces are like this. Now, I have seen traffic enforcement in like Cebu and Manila, and I've seen them out, you know, they'll get out and flag traffic down and stuff like that. I've never seen vehicles get pulled over and get a ticket, but I'm sure they do. Also, something that surprised me is you be driving down the road, and if you see a police vehicle come up behind you, they have red and blue lights, and those are always on. So the first time it kind of freaks you out, I'm getting pulled over, but no, if you pull over, they just go on around you. They always have their flashing lights on. So it doesn't actually mean they're on their way to emergency or anything like that, or you're getting pulled over. They just have them on. I don't know if it's like that on the other islands, but I know it's like that here on the Zamagra Peninsula anyway. So anyway, just wanted to give you that little information. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them best I can. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.